Hey guys, thanks for watching the old-fashioned lumber tutorial video. Today we're going to do a quick little install here. Hopefully you learned something and pick up a few tips so you have a successful project at home. First things first, make sure you get that first row straight, level. Do whatever you got to do, snap a line, use your level, whatever you prefer, but if it's not straight, you're going to fight it the whole way up. Secondly, you can see here I'm marking out your outlets. You're going to have outlets on your walls. You're going to come across this. We're going to have a second video to go over this a little bit more in detail, so I won't get too much into it, but basically you're just going to cut a hole just big enough to pop that outlet out and float it flush, so that way your faceplate's nice and flush. And again, I'll have another video that goes over that in more detail, so we won't take too much time on that. But before I forget, we do a mixed width here at Old Fashioned Lumber, meaning you're going to get boards that are 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9 inches wide. We used 4 different widths on this small little wall just to show you how easy it really is. I chose to start with a 7, then I went to an 8 so that it was flush with the top of that outlet. Just easier to do it that way. So I'm going to go from a 7 to an 8 to a 5 to a 9. And then I'm going to repeat. And, it just gives you a nice look. These are some fellas from the church. Didn't realize we were filming a video, but, no big deal. So anyway, again, we're going to repeat that pattern all the way up the wall and just give you a really authentic look. The only real pieces that you have to cut to fit per se are your last pieces in the row. On this wall, tons of cuts. That's why we're using 3 guys. Try to make this video go a little quicker. But we try not to get everything too tight. We don't want to be having to hammer it in there because wood does expand and contract. So I try to leave a 1/16 of an inch gap at the minimum all the way around the wall. You can go up to an 1/8 of an inch, but that way, nothing more than that, so you don't have to trim it out. You can trim it out if you want, but this is just a nice clean look. You can't even pick up that gap unless you're really looking for it, and you have room in there for it to give a little bit. But you can see here we're using a brown mix. It's Charlie Brown with a few antique chocolate mixed in. Ends up with a really, really pretty wall. So you can see tools for the job. You're going to want a nailer, 16 gauge or 18 gauge. Don't get too crazy on the nails. We're using 1 1/4 inch. Then we use a little bit of liquid nail. That way you don't have to worry about hitting studs. You put some of that liquid nail every 16 inches on the board. And then you also nail every 16 inches. Those nails are going to hold that wood, and then once that liquid nail sets up in 24 hours, it's not going anywhere. Then you'll need your level and a few other hand tools that you might have around the house. But I'm going to touch a little bit on waste here. We don't want to throw away little small pieces like that piece leaning up against the ladder there, or the piece leaning up against the door on your right. We're going to reuse those somewhere on this project. If you throw stuff like that away, you will run out of wood unless you factored in like a 25% waste factor. That's the part people don't realize. Hey, and stay hydrated, that never hurts. But yeah, have fun while you're doing this, guys. It's a super easy install. Anybody can do it. You don't need to be a professional. Just make sure as you're going up, you're keeping things level, keeping things square. If you're starting to see a gap somewhere on one end and it's tight on the other, chances are something's wrong. That's okay. It's not too late. You just want to go ahead and correct it before you get any further up, because otherwise you are going to fight that the entire way up. Seams, staggering your seams. I've touched base on this before in other videos, but you see how that board I'm putting up there, I moved it from the right to the left because I wanted it to be the furthest away from that seam underneath it as possible. The closest I want to get is 12 inches. I don't want that seam to line up with the seam below it or above it. Do your best to kind of keep the seams lining up at a minimum so you end up with the best look. It's a simple step. People forget it all the time, but I promise you it makes a huge difference when it's finished. This wood has tons of characters. There's knot holes, there's nail holes. I believe I just said characters, but you know what I mean. And it's all part of it. It gives you what I think is the best look. If you just go stain some wood, you're never going to end up with a look like this. I can guarantee you that. So anyway, again, I'm repeating that pattern. You know, we're on the 5s and 9s, and I just repeat it all the way up. When I say sweep down the wall when you're finished, this is what I mean. Heavy sweeping. Remove all that dust that's settled on it during the install, and it just gives you, you know, nice clean look. Sweep it up, and then enjoy. Thanks for watching.